Good afternoon, everybody. You were listening to Lake Stevens Vikings Varsity Playoff Baseball. My name is Payne Patchett, live from Everett Memorial Stadium in Everett, Washington, home of the Everett Aqua Sox, the short Season A affiliate of the Seattle Mariners, where the Lake Stevens Vikings will play in a 4 p.m. consolation game against the Mount Vernon Bulldogs. The Vikings, the number 5 seed, coming off a loss to the Cascade Bruins by the score of 4-2, while Mount Vernon, the number 3 seed, coming off a loss that was a little bit worse. They lost a walk-off against Jackson by a final score of 5-4. Lake Stevens will be starting Justin Troya in his 10th game of the year in his 9th start against the Mount Vernon Bulldogs, and Riley Olmstead making his 2nd start against the Vikings and his 5th start against Lake Stevens in his high school career. When we come back, it'll be the top of the first inning. Lake Stevens trying to keep their season alive against the Mount Vernon Bulldogs.
Respective lines as I call you out.
And we are now into the top of the first inning here at Everett Memorial Stadium between the Lake Stevens Vikings, the number 5 seed, against the Mount Vernon Bulldogs and the number 3 seed. It'll be Riley Olmstead making a 2nd start against the Vikings this season against leadoff hitter Ben Pizer, the starting left fielder. Riley Olmstead this season, 3 wins with an ERA of 3.20 and 50 strikeouts to his name. For the junior, Riley Olmstead, the windup and the first pitch to the left fielder, Ben Pizer, outside for a ball 1. Ben Pizer, the left fielder, 23 hits and 71 at-bats, a .324 batting average with 5 RBIs, and is 6 for 6 in stolen bases, the 1-0. Strike 1 looking, called by the home plate umpire, Gene Daniels, 1 ball and 1 strike. Ben Pizer, he's been hit twice. He has scored a team-high 20 runs, 3 doubles, 2 triples, and 12 walks, the 1-1. A ground ball going to the shortstop, Travis Ord. Throw to first is in time to the first baseman, Lane Harlan. For out number 1, it will bring up the number 2 hitter, the third baseman, number 6, Theron Perkins. 21 hits and 51 at-bats with the team's 2nd highest batting average at .412. He has hit 1 of 3 home runs for the Lake Stevens Vikings and has 16 RBIs on the year. He is also 7 for 7 stolen bases. He has been hit once, he has scored 8 runs, and he has hit a team-high 6 triples. First pitch, strike 1 looking. He has been walked 4 times as well. And during the regular season series between both Lake Stevens and Mount Vernon, Theron returned, going 2 for 3 with an RBI and a 1-0 win against the Bulldogs at Sherman Anderson Field. The 0-1 pitch just inside. Ball 1. The lineup for the 9-13 Lake Stevens Vikings, Ben Pizer, Theron Perkins, and Connor Bardou, the designated hitter at the number 3 spot. The 1-1. Strike 2 looking. Riley Olmstead trying to paint the inside corner. And is able to get it that time. Count now at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Middle of the order is the catcher Trey Long, Christian LaPierre, the center fielder, and the first baseman Will Wentz. 1-2. And a foul tip. It's the backstop behind home plate. Count stays at 1-2. And the 7-8-9 batters are Tanner Lynn, the right fielder, Brendan Miller, the second baseman, and the shortstop Hunter Zelasco. Riley Olmstead, he is now pitching in his 5th game this year against Lake Stevens. And the 1-2 pitch, a 1-hopper, it goes way outside and gets past the glove of the starting catcher, Finn Wilson. The defensive lineup for the Mount Vernon Bulldogs on the mound is Riley Olmstead, and behind the plate is Finn Wilson. On the infield, third base, Ryan Morrill, shortstop Travis Ord. The 2-2. Low and inside, ball 3 as the ball rolls away from the catcher, Finn Wilson. Count is now full for the second batter of the game. It'll be second baseman Sven Larson and first baseman Lane Harlan. And in the outfield, it'll be left fielder Dylan Sir, center fielder Ian Fitzgerald, and right fielder Dylan Carter, with Skylar Jensen batting as a designated hitter for the first baseman Lane Harlan. Count's now full. Payoff pitch. Foul chopper. This one lands right next to the bullpen along the third base side. And Riley Olmstead had a pretty rough start his last time up against the Vikings. The payoff pitch, swing and a miss. Theron, he runs towards first base as the ball gets away from the catcher, Finn Wilson, and the Vikings on a strikeout and an error will get their first base runner. It'll bring up Connor Bardou. He is the designated hitter for the 2nd consecutive game after returning from a separated shoulder that he suffered against Monroe after he was sliding into second base. Currently with a .459 batting average, a team lead with 1 home run and 9 RBIs, 5 for 5 in stolen bases. First pitch by Riley. Inside, strike 1 looking. Connor is hit 4 times. He has scored 16 runs. He has been walked 10 times, and he has hit 4 doubles. And Riley Olmsted, a good thing to mention here is in his last start, he allowed 7 earned runs in 4 1/3 innings, but Lane Harlan, the relief pitcher, backed him up, and he ended up getting a no decision. The 0-1. Check swing upstairs. Ball 1, Finn Wilson. Pointing towards the infield umpire, Jeff Strong, to see if he went. And he says that he did not go. Ball is now even. Count is now even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Theron at first base. And Riley, getting the sign from Finn Wilson, steps off the mound. The subs for the Lake Stevens Vikings: Cameron Austin, Xander Fogel, Tommy Lindgren, Jacob Gordon, Alec Ibachuan, Jacob Bortela, Bailey Corley, Ethan Jansen, Bryce Mefford, and Tate Brust. Count still even at 1-1. Olmsted inside, ball 2. And a close call right there. The home plate umpire, Gene Daniels, calling that a ball 2. Now, in the past few years, both Lake Stevens and Mount Vernon have had some history in the postseason, starting back in 2015, their first ever postseason matchup. But it was a pitcher's duel that the Vikings ended up winning 1-0. 2-1. Throw to first is not in time as Theron gets back to first safely. It was a pitcher's duel between Ryan Fredrickson of Mount Vernon and Skylar Swords, who during that year, there were times where he would have been called the ace pitcher. There would have been times where he was called the number 2 pitcher because our top 2 were so good. The 2-1, a fly ball. This one going in the right field. Dylan Carter calling for it as he will make the catch in short right field. It'll be the second out of the top of the first. And it brings up the cleanup hitter, Trey Long, the junior, 19 hits in 56 at-bats, a .339 batting average with 11 RBIs, and is 8 for 8 in stolen bases. He's been hit 3 times. He has scored 16 runs. He has hit a team-high 7 doubles. He has hit a triple, and he has been walked also a team-high 13 times throughout the course of the year. Riley Olmsted, first pitch, swing and a chopper. This one getting into the glove of Ryan Morrill, who drops it. Throw to first is offline, and it'll be an error on the third baseman, Ryan Morrill. A first pitch chopper. It was a clean catch, but he ends up dropping the ball shortly afterwards. He is able to throw it to the first baseman, Lane Harlan, but the throw is offline to his right. And the Vikings have runners on first and second as the number 5 hitter, Christian Lapierre, the starting center fielder, will walk up to the plate. 18 hits in 52 at-bats, a .346 batting average, a homer, and 13 RBIs. He is 8 for 9 in stolen bases on the year as well. Christian Lapierre, for anyone who remembers, he was the hero in Saturday's game against Glacier Peak. First pitch, a ball gets past from the catcher, Finn Wilson, and the runners will advance. A wild pitch by the starting pitcher, Riley Olmsted. Theron moving to third, Trey Long moving to second. And the Vikings could not be any closer to scoring position here with 2 outs in the top of the first inning. Lapierre hit a homer in the top of the 9th inning, a 2-run home run that'll scored Tommy Lindgren from first as the Vikings beat Glacier Peak by the score of 8-6. And a check swing, strike 1 looking on the first pitch to Christian. He's been hit 6 times for a while. That was the team high in hit by pitches. 6 times, 13 runs, 4 doubles. He hit a triple. And he's been walked 11 times. Timeout by Lake Stevens. The manager, Josh White, bringing in a pinch runner, which would be number 15, Bryce Mefford.
Catcher, number 15, Bryce Mefford.
As he will be pinch running for the catcher and longtime friend Trey Long, as he will now be at second base. Count is 0-1. Riley the pitch. Upstairs and outside for a ball 1. Riley, this is his 5th career start against the Lake Stevens Vikings, and his past 4 games, he is 2-1 with an ERA of 4.62, allowing 14 earned runs in 21 2/3 innings. Striking out 22 in the 1-1 pitch, swing and a missed, strike 2. Count is now at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Riley Olmsted ahead of the count once again. And in those 4 games, it was 21 2/3 innings, 24 hits, 14 earned runs. He walked 13 batters and struck out 22, now 23 batters. And the 1-2 pitch and a foul chopper, as that one will hit the backstop. Nice job by Christian to stay alive. in the at-bat. So when that 2015 started, it was Ryan Fredrickson of Mount Vernon versus Skylar Swords of Lake Stevens, both seniors. And it was a pitcher's duel right down to the wire as the Vikings scored a run in the top of the 7th inning on a sacrifice fly. Ends up winning the game with a score of 1-0. Timeout by Christian. Lake Stevens would end up losing the Wesco championship game to then undefeated Snohomish Panthers, who were the top team in the state, while Mount Vernon would lose in the consolation game against Monroe in the game earlier. In the 1-2 pitch outside, ball 2, count is even. In a situation very similar to this, it was Mount Vernon. They lost in the semifinal game. It was the first year that the playoffs were in this format. Mount Vernon lost to Monroe by a score of 5-3, while Lake Stevens would beat Monroe in the second place game. And the payoff pitch, that wasn't a 2-2 count, that was a payoff pitch. As it was my mistake. That was actually a full count. Now the bases are loaded. No hits, 1 error, 3 runners on. It is Will Wentz, a .236 batting average, 18 hits and 71 at-bats. Riley, first pitch. Foul tip, hits the fence. Foul ball hits the fence. Will Wentz, he has been hit 4 times. He has scored 6 runs. He has hit 6 doubles. He has also hit 6 walks. One of his top strengths for Lake Stevens, he can hit the ball, but one of the weaknesses, and the main one that he has, is that he has struck out a team-high 22 times this year. So you just need to avoid the strikeout. The 0-1. Hard hit ball. This one going in the right center. This one going to Ian Fitzgerald, and that will fall into the gap. Theron's going to score. Bryce Mefford is going to score from second, and Christian LaPierre will score. It'll be a bases-clearing double for the senior Will Wentz. And the Vikings explode in the top of the first with an early 3-0 lead. That one, a perfect gap shot into right center field. It just gets away from the outstretched glove of the center fielder Ian Fitzgerald, as Dylan Carter was also in the vicinity. Will Wentz, RBIs number 19, 20, and 21 on the year. Vikings, again, an early 3-0 lead on their first base hit of the game. Tanner Lind, first pitch, swing and a miss, strike 1. Tanner, 15 hits and 59 at-bats, a batting average of .254 with 5 RBIs. He also leads the team in stolen bases with 12 out of 13 attempts. He has scored 11 runs. He has hit 3 doubles. And he has been walked six times. And Tanner Lind, during the regular season series, he was the only batter who didn't get a hit during this regular season series. He was 0 for 5. And the 0-1 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 2. That'll be Brandon Miller, who is on deck, the starting second baseman. And recently, as of late, he has been on a tear, especially when there are guys on base. So I was really excited to see him. And the 0-2 pitch, a line shot straight to center field. Will be staying at third base. There'll be runners on the corners. No, the center fielder, Ian Fitzgerald, dropped the ball. The throw home is not in time. And Lake Stevens takes a 4-0 lead. It's a single by Tanner Lind and an error by the center fielder, Ian Fitzgerald. It looks like he picks up the ball as it was rolling on the ground, but it looks like he drops it. And the error will score Will. And it will be a single that'll keep Tanner at first base. Timeout by Mount Vernon. It'll be Tony Wolden, who will walk up to the mound along with the starting pitcher, Riley Olmstead, and the entire Mount Vernon infield. And speaking of which, when I said that Brendan Miller, as of late, he has been really good when there's guys on base. He has a .321 batting average, 9 hits and 28 at-bats. Keep in mind that a good 6-7 games ago, his batting average was around 200. And then ever since then, he has been on a tear. He found the right pitches to swing at, and he has just been a really good hitter on the bottom part of the order for Lake Stevens. He has 11 RBIs in the 8 spot. That is a really good 8 hitter if he can get 11 RBIs for you, and he has 4 for 4 in RBIs. First on stolen bases, first pitch outside, ball 1. He's been hit 3 times. He has scored 5 runs, 2 doubles, 1 triple, and he's been walked 5 times. And during the regular season series, he was 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and a walk. The count is 1-0. Riley swung on, and that's foul. This one going towards the bleachers, the general admission bleachers along the first base side. There's the main bleachers that are behind the dugout, and then right next to those bleachers is the general admission bleachers. count is now even at 1-1. So it will count as a base hit. And the 1-1 pitch, a strike 2 looking Riley showing the curveball. So that will be the second error by Mount Vernon. And Mount Vernon hasn't even showed their stuff yet on the plate. Riley with a chance to end the inning. Ahead of the count, 1-2. The windup in the throw. And a foul chopper rolling towards the Mount Vernon dugout. Count stays at 1-2. And the second matchup was in 2016, the first round between the 5-seeded Lake Stevens Vikings and the 4-seeded Mount Vernon Bulldogs. It was a pitcher's duel at the start of the game, but it was dominated by Mount Vernon's ace pitcher, Cooper Nelson, who ended up beating the Vikings 4-0. And the 1-2 pitch, a fly ball. This one just gets into the general admission seating. Again, count stays at 1-2. 2016, final score, Mount Vernon 4, Lake Stevens nothing. Lake Stevens ended their season early, and that was also the final season for Roger Anderson as he decided to retire from baseball and stay with driver's ed for Lake Stevens High School. And the 1-2, a fly ball. This one going in the center field. Ian Fitzgerald calling for it. He is waving everyone off, and he will make the catch to end the top of the first. It was a huge one early for the Lake Stevens Vikings. 4 runs on 2 hits, 2 errors, and 1 runner left on. Lake Stevens with a 4-0 lead as Justin Troya will walk up to the mound, facing off against the top 3 batters, Travis Oord and Ian Fitzgerald and Dylan Sir. Lake Stevens with an early 4-0 lead as they go into the bottom of the first inning. And we are now back into the bottom of the first inning. Lake Stevens, they exploded in the top of the first off of starting pitcher Riley Olmstead with 4 runs on 2 hits, 2 errors, and 1 runner left on. It'll be the starting pitcher, Justin Troya, for the Lake Stevens Vikings, making his 10th appearance and his 9th start. And it'll be his first start against Mount Vernon as he faced off against Travis Oord. First pitch, a foul tip. A foul ball hits the backstop behind home plate for an 0-1 count. Justin Troya entering this game 2 wins and 3 losses, an ERA of 4.23, making his 10th appearance and his 9th start. He has thrown 33 in a third innings pitched, allowing 29 hits, 20 earned runs, walking 27 batters, and striking out 16 in the 0-1 pitch outside and upstairs for a ball 1. In his last game, in his only relief appearance for the Lake Stevens Vikings, he threw 6 2/3 innings, allowing 4 hits and an earned run against Glacier Peak. And the 1-1, this one, a liner to center field, and Christian LaPierre will be there to make the catch for the first out of the first inning. And also in that last game, Christian LaPierre, he was a huge help for Justin Troya in that game against Glacier Peak. And it looks like he might be of a huge help in this instance, too, against a pretty hitter-friendly Mount Vernon team. As the next batter will be Ian Fitzgerald. First pitch upstairs, ball 1. Ian Fitzgerald, during the regular season series, he was 1 for 7 with an RBI single in the 6th inning of the first game at Lake Stevens High School, in which Mount Vernon won 10-8. The 1-0, check swing, ball 2. The lineup for the 14-8, 14 wins and 8 losses, in the number 3-seeded Mount Vernon Bulldogs. It'll be Travis Oord, Ian Fitzgerald, and Dylan Sir, the normal top 3 hitters that we've seen in the last 2 games. The 2-0, swing and a miss, strike 1. The middle hitters will be Sven Larson, the second baseman, Ryan Morrill, the third baseman, and the starting pitcher Riley Olmstead at the 6th spot. And at the 7, 8, and 9 spot is Finn Wilson, the catcher, Skylar Jensen, the designated hitter, and Dylan Carter, the right fielder. And the 2-1 pitch is a foul ball that will go over the netting and over the bleachers along the bleachers along the first base side. Lake Stevens bleachers count now even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. And the windup in the 2-2 pitch by Justin, upstairs, ball 3. The reserves for the Mount Vernon Bulldogs, let's name off some of the ones that we know first. Kyle Wolden, Hudson Rhines, he was the starting pitcher in the second game. Sam Nelson, Cole Williams, and Dane Williams. And the payoff pitch, a fly ball, that's playable. That one going right in front of the Lake Stevens dugout. Will Wentz calling for it and will make the catch. A nice play by this first baseman, Will Wentz, as he stands right in front of the Lake Stevens dugout here at Everett Memorial Stadium for the second out of the first inning. Brings up the starting right fielder, number 24, Dylan Sir. It is spelled C-Y-R, and he was a tough out for the Mount Vernon Bulldogs against the Vikings. He had the most hits out of any of the batters. He was 4 for 7. First pitch, swing and a miss, strike 1. 4 for 7 with a double, 2 RBIs. and a run. It was Dylan Sir, Travis Ord, and away Riley Olmstead. And a couple of categories that were a huge help in those regular season series. And the 0-1 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 2. Nasty pitch by Justin. And there were a few players from Mount Vernon's junior varsity team that are also on there too. There is Zach Klinger, Klinger, number 16. Justin, the 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and Justin makes Dylan swing on 3 pitches, and it'll be the end of the first inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on. It's all zeros in the bottom of the first inning. Lake Stevens with an early 4-0 lead. Riley Olmstead walking up to the mound as he'll face off against Hunter Zelasco, the 9-hitter. And then back up to the top of the order with Ben Pizer and Theron Perkins. 4-0 Lake Stevens. You are listening to Lake Stevens Vikings Varsity Baseball from Everett Memorial Stadium. And we are now back into the top of the second inning. Lake Stevens still with a 4-0 lead over Mount Vernon, as they're going to try to add to that lead as we go into the top half of the inning, as it'll be the number 9 hitter Hunter Zelasco, the starting shortstop. First pitch upstairs, ball 1. Zelasco entering the game, 9 hits, 54 at-bats. His batting average has gone down in the last few games. Going to try and find his rhythm here for the sophomore shortstop. Strike 1 looking. And a 1-1 count. His batting average now down to 185 with 9 RBIs. It is 9 for 9 on stolen bases. The 1-1 by Riley. Swung on and a hard hit ball. This one hitting the corner, the top right corner fencing of the bleachers behind the Mount Vernon dugout. A very hard place to hit. Count now at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Overall, 6 hit by pitches, 9 runs, and 3 doubles. And the 1-2 pitch, trying the curveball, could not do it. Ball 2. Count now even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. 6 hits, 9 runs, 3 doubles, and 7 walks on the year. And against the Bulldogs, he was 1 for 3 with an RBI, walk, run, and stolen base. And the 2-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. The second strikeout and the first one that records an official out for Riley Olmstead this afternoon. Brings us back to the leadoff spot. That is Ben Pizer. Grounded out on a 1-1 pitch to the shortstop Travis Ord for the first out. First pitch by Riley. Fly ball. This one going in the center field. Ian Fitzgerald calling for it, waving everyone off, and making the catch for the second out of the second inning. Brings up the number 2 hitter Theron Perkins. It was his strikeout that started the top of the first inning as he was able to get away from the catcher Finn Wilson, who was retrieving the baseball. It was on a full count, and it was on an 8-pitch at bat. First pitch by Riley. Inside, ball 1. Riley had a pretty rough first inning, 10 balls, 22 strikes on 32 pitches. That is his total through 1, allowing 4 runs on 2 hits, 2 errors, and 1 runner left on. The total for the Vikings in this game. And the 1-0 pitch is strike 1 looking. Count now at 1 ball and 1 strike. And Riley 1-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Count now towards Riley at 1 ball and 2 strikes. It'll be Perkins, who has been recently known to be a really good hitter. This one, a 1-2 pitch, a slow grounder, fielded by Ryan Morrill. Throw to first is not in time. It's an infield single for Theron Perkins. It was a short hopper towards the third baseman. It is fielded cleanly by Morrill, but he's not able to throw to the first baseman, Lane Harlan, in time. Count is now at 1. Not count. There's no count anymore. The Vikings with a 2-out infield single with their third hit of the afternoon brings up Connor Bardou, who hit a 2-1 pitch to the right fielder, Dylan Carter. Riley first pitch, slow, ball 1. Connor Bardou, it may take a few at-bats, but he's going to make a pretty good recovery going back into the lineup after being out for so long. With that shoulder injury, he has done really well in rehab, trying to get it back together. Throw to first, not in time, as Theron gets back to first. But one thing that was especially impressive to me about the Vikings is that even though they had one of their best players out, everyone else stepped up, and it was a really amazing sight to see, especially late in the year when they're trying to fight for a playoff spot and then eventually get one. The 1-0 inside, ball 2. You see, and Lake Stevens dugout getting as loud as they possibly could. They've done that for the last few years. And about a good 85% of the time, it's come to their advantage. Oh, no, it's I don't know how I missed that there. A stolen base by Theron Perkins, his 8th of the year. The 2-0 of foul chopper. This one going towards the bullpen again. Count now at 2-1. Same pitch count as it was when Connor hit the fly out to Carter. So it'll be a stolen base for Theron Perkins. It's now stolen base number 8 on the year. And we see a few players from last year's Wesco championship team watching the game. Luke Partington, Scotty Hicks, and Connor Olmstead. 3 very important players on that Wesco championship team that also had a 5 seed. The 2-1 pitch, a foul ball that'll hit the netting that is situated behind home plate above the backstop. Count is now even at 2-2. And Theron Perkins, once again in scoring position, as he goes up to second base. And the 2-2 fly ball, that's out foul. That one was high and inside. Connor decided to take a swing at it and got a piece of it. And Lake Stevens, especially in the last year or so, you would say past couple of years, they've found ways to try and get to Riley Olmstead because he started in the rotation as a freshman. There are some players who got used to him, and Theron's going to try and steal third, and he is thrown out by a mile to end the second inning. Theron Perkins trying to catch Riley Olmstead off guard. It does not work, though, as he is now 8 for 9 on stolen bases. And it'll be the end of the second inning. It'll be no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left on. Still a 4-0 Lake Stevens lead, as Justin Troya will walk back up to the mound, facing off against the middle of the orders, Van Larson, Ryan Morrill, and the pitcher Riley Olmstead, as Lake Stevens still with a 4-run lead. And we are now back into the bottom of the second inning. Lake Stevens still with a immediate 4-4 lead over Mount Vernon, as Justin Troya will face off against the cleanup hitter, starting second baseman Sven Larson, who again was one of the top hitters for the Bulldogs in the regular season series. First pitch swing and a miss, strike 1. Larson, he was 3 for 5 with 2 runs and 2 walks in the 2 games that the 2 teams faced off against each other. Hope I didn't just wrap your head after that sentence. The 0-1 pitch outside, ball 1. Justin, a pretty good 1, 2, 3, 4 balls, 8 strikes, 12 pitches, all zeros in the inning. Therefore, making it all zeros in the game after 1 inning. Count is even at 1-1. Wind up to Justin. Outside, ball 2. It'll be Sven Larson, the third baseman Ryan Morrill, and the starting pitcher Riley Olmstead, who will face off against Justin. And the 2-1 by Troya. Outside, ball 3. And Justin behind on a 3-1 count. And in his last few starts, trying to keep his senior season alive, he's done pretty good. Getting guys out in the 3-1 pitch, outside, ball 4. And Mount Vernon will get their first base runner on a leadoff walk in the bottom of the second inning. It will bring up the number 5 hitter, Ryan Morrill. He is one of 3 Mount Vernon batters in the regular season series that did not produce a hit. Ryan Morrill 0 for 6, while Skylar Jensen, who only played in the first game, went 0 for 3. Dylan Carter, the right fielder, went 0 for 2. First pitch by Justin, strike 1 looking. But Ryan Morrill is the only batter out of those 3 that played in both games, ended up going 0 for 6 with a walk. And that walk was in the first game, in which Mount Vernon won by the score of 10-8. And Justin looking over at Sven at first, and the 0-1 outside, upstairs. No, it's just upstairs, above the strike zone, ball 1. And so it was So the most recent postseason meeting was back in 2017 in the Wesco semifinals. The 1-1 pitch upstairs, ball 2. Timeout by Lake Stevens. Trey Long going to talk to Justin Troya. Looks like he's having a little trouble with the strike zone in the first couple of batters after a really good first inning. And it was in 2017. It was a classic. And the fact that Mount Vernon did not Or it wasn't at Mount Vernon. It was the fact that the Everett Herald didn't make like a full-length article on it was just mind-boggling to me. It was a game that was a very close game throughout from the beginning to the end. It was Riley Olmsted. It was his first and only loss against Lake Stevens in his varsity career, as the Vikings won 5-4. The 2-1 upstairs, ball 3. Count now at 3-1, and Lake Stevens, they were leading 5-2 entering the bottom of the 7th. 2 runs come through, and they end the game when the bases loaded. And then the 3-1 pitch outside for a ball 4. The same pattern of pitches. First strike, and then the next 4 pitches end up being balls. And Riley Olmsted will walk up to the plate, but not before the manager, Josh White, and the catcher, Trey Long, will go onto the mound to talk to Justin. And in that game, it was Jacob Bradley, who was a pitcher who has graduated, who played for Lake Stevens last year against Riley Olmsted. Jacob Bradley would end up getting the win, as the Vikings, they took a 4-2 lead over Mount Vernon in the 5th inning. They got out of a bases-loaded jam in the 5th and 6th innings, and eventually in the infamous 7th inning, in which Jacob Bradley, he was replaced by Quinlan Hayes, who pitched a really good 6 after the bases were loaded, and then hit 3 straight batters in the 7th to make the bases loaded and let them able to score a couple of runs. So runners on first and second with nobody out. Justin Troya against his counterpart, the starting pitcher Riley Olmsted for Mount Vernon, looking over at second. First pitch, outside, ball 1. Riley Olmsted, 1 for 4 in the regular season. He's been walked 3 times. He has scored a run. He has hit a double, and he has also got an RBI under his name against Lake Stevens in the 2018 season. The 1-0 inside, strike 1 looking. Riley Olmsted, he was the starting pitcher in their first round game against the Monroe Bearcats up at Sherman Anderson Field. Mount Vernon won the game by the final score of 3-1, with Olmsted throwing a complete game and getting an RBI in the mix. The 1-1, outside, ball 2. And Riley Olmsted, he threw a complete game. He allowed a solo home run to Monroe's starting pitcher, Ryan Witt, in the top of the 7th inning, but that was all he could let go. He struck out 11. And the 2-1, that is a check swing foul ball that rolls towards Mount Vernon's first base coach. The count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. It rolled towards fair territory for a couple of hops and then went towards foul territory afterwards. Count is even, 2-2. First 2-strike count for Justin this inning. And Justin, the windup in the 2-2 pitch. Upstairs, ball 3, a full count. And Riley Olmsted, last year, he was also an all-Wesco 4A first-team pitcher over Lake Stevens ace Connor Olmsted. And the payoff pitch, outside for a ball 4. Justin Troya walking the first 3 batters that he'll face in the 2nd inning, brings up the starting catcher, Finn Wilson. Finn Wilson, the starting catcher, number 23. He was 2 for 6 in the regular season series, but before he could do anything on the base paths like score any runs, he was replaced with a pinch runner. And speaking of pinch runners, we're going to bring in one for Riley Olmsted. That'll be number 12, Cole Williams, who scored a couple of runs for Mount Vernon in the first game at Lake Stevens High School. It was not used at all in the second game. It was Dane Williams who was used once for pinch running. First pitch by Justin, outside, ball 1. And so there's a couple of Lake Stevens players running towards the bullpen along the first base side. Will be Alec Ibachuan and Jacob Gordon. And Justin, the 1-0. Strike 1 looking. Now, Josh White, in Monday's loss against Cascade, Josh White did a pretty good job of being conservative with his pitchers, how many pitches they would throw, because you can only throw a certain number of pitches and be out for a certain number of days. The 1-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2. And the next couple of batters for Mount Vernon, Skylar Jensen and Dylan Carter, they might be, worst case scenario for Justin Troya, they might be late bloomers after they haven't shown that much in the regular season series. Count 1-2, Justin to throw. Line shot, that's caught by Will, and all the runners will stay. And a huge out for Lake Stevens. A line out to the first baseman, Will Wentz. That one, if he wasn't there, if that 6'4", big, giant human being that is Will Wentz, if he wasn't there, then that ball would have gotten to right field and at least 2 runs would have scored. There's still bases loaded, brings up the designated hitter, Skylar Jensen. It is him, Ryan Morrill, and Dylan Carter who have not gotten a hit against the Vikings. First pitch, check swing, did he go? Yes, he did, 0-1 count. Skylar Jensen, he was only at bat for the first game in which the Mount Vernon Bulldogs won by the score of 10-8. He was 0 for 3 with a walk and a run in that game. And the number 9 hitter, Dylan Carter, he was a pitcher. He was in the lineup for the second game of the series, and the 0-1, a foul ball hits above the backstop, counted 0-2. And so the defensive lineup for the Lake Stevens Vikings, I just realized I forgot to mention that. On the mound is Justin Troya. Behind the plate is Trey Long. On the infield at third base is Theron Perkins. Shortstop is Hunter Zalesko. Second baseman Brendan Miller. And the first baseman Will Wentz. The 0-2 pitch by Justin. Outside, ball 1. And the outfield will be at left field Ben Pizer. Center fielder Christian Lapierre. And the right fielder Tanner Lind. This is the same old for the defensive lineup for Lake Stevens, with especially in the second half of the year since Connor got off and Connor was injured and Theron was able to take the spot in the hot corner. The 1-2 pitch outside and in the dirt to the starting catcher Trey Long, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Sven Larson at third, Ryan Morrill at second, Cole Williams at first. The 2-2 check swing, ball 3, a full count. And Justin Troya, not in a good scenario, but there is a chance he might get out of it. Payoff pitch outside, ball 4. Mount Vernon getting their first run on the board on 4 walks. And now Mount Vernon trails by 3. Here's Dylan Carter, the starting right fielder. Timeout by Lake Stevens. Josh White going to be replaced by what looks like to be number 13, Alec Ibachuan. And it will be Alec Ibachuan, as after an inning and a third, Justin Troya is taken out of the game. They'll take a quick break here, bottom of the second inning. Lake Stevens 4, Mount Vernon 1. Bases loaded with 1 out. Alec Ibachuan against the right fielder, Dylan Carter. And we'll take a... Oh, what do you mean we're taking a quick break? No, we are actually now back. Bottom of the second inning. Mount Vernon, bases loaded and 1 out. Mount Vernon got a run on the board. They have no hits up until this point. Alec Ibachuan against Dylan Carter. First pitch upstairs, ball 1. Justin Troya finishing his night 1 1/3 innings, allowing no hits. Currently 1 earned run. Walking 4, striking out 1 batter on 38 pitches. Here's Alec Ibachuan making his 8th appearance of the year. The 1-0 inside, strike 1 looking. Now Mount Vernon bleachers and fans reacting as if it was a ball 2, but instead the count will go even. Dylan Carter, he was the number 9 hitter in the second game of the regular season series, going 0 for 2 with a walk. The 1-1 inside, trying the curveball, ball 2. Alec Ibachuan, no wins, no losses, an ERA of 1.75. In his 8th game, he has thrown 8 innings, allowing 11 hits, 2 earned runs, walking 7, striking out 2. And the 2-1 by Alec. Swing and a miss, strike 2, count goes even. And Alec with a good chance to shorten the inning. The 2-2 pitch, outside, ball 3, full count. And that is what I mean by Josh White saying that he's trying to be conservative with his pitchers. If Lake Stevens somehow pulls this off, they're going to have to play on Saturday at 10 a.m. here at Everett Memorial Stadium. And they're going to try and use as many pitches as he can. Payoff pitch outside, ball 4. Mount Vernon gets another run in. Ryan Morrill will score from third as still bases loaded. And it will bring up the top of the order for the second time around. Travis Ord hit a 1-1 pitch to the center fielder Christian LaPierre. It is still with one out, though, and Lake Stevens still with a chance to get out of the inning. With a possible double play, it is still bases loaded. As Cole Williams is now at third, Skylar Jensen at second, Dylan Carter at first. First pitch, ball one inside. And a timeout by Lake Stevens. Trey Long now talking with Aleki Bachuan about where the pitches are about to be placed, as Justin Troya, during his time up in the mound, not able to find the strike zone, and Aleki Bachuan, same thing. Total of 5 walks in this inning in 6 batters, and the one, with the exception being that there were one batter that got out, and it turns from a 4-0 Lake Stevens lead to now a 4-2 Lake Stevens lead, and Mount Vernon hasn't even recorded a hit. The 1-0 pitch, a strike one looking, count even at 1-1. So now Lake Stevens will have to work to try and make Justin Troya's start not his last. And the 1-1 pitch, that is playable. The sun coming into play. Will Wentz calling for it, making the catch as he stands right on top of the first base foul line, and that will be the second out. And that'll bring up Ian Fitzgerald, the center fielder. He hit a payoff pitch in foul territory, which was also caught by Will. And he has a chance to break this game wide open for Mount Vernon. Game tying run is at second base. Game leading run is at first. First pitch, strike one looking. Justin Troya, as of right now, he is online for the win because of the 4 runs they scored in the first inning. See if Alec can keep that. The 0-1, check swing outside, ball 1. And so the reserves that were from Mount Vernon's junior varsity team, Zach Klinger, Stephen Gard, G-A-R-D, and Ethan Lewis. Count even at 1-1 to throw outside, ball 2. Count at 2 balls and 1 strike. 2-1. Ball 3. This one going outside. Curveball. And Alec behind the count. 3-1. Outside, ball 4. And another run will score. It's the 6th walk of this at-bat, as Cole Williams will score, and Lake Stevens now has a 4-3 lead, as they'll bring up Dylan Sir. Timeout by Lake Stevens. Josh White walking up to the mound to talk to Aleki Bachuan, as for a while there, Aleki Bachuan looked like he found the strike zone, but it looked like he lost it after he faced Fitzgerald. Now Dylan Sir, the only strikeout victim in the Mount Vernon lineup. And really the interesting stat, and the most interesting stat of the day, is that Mount Vernon has no hits, and they're going to bring in Will Wentz. The third pitcher of the second inning, Josh White. An interesting statistic here, trying to be conservative with his pitching. He's going to bring in Will Wentz. Tate Brust will be the new first baseman. We'll take a quick break. Bottom of the second inning. Score now, Lake Stevens 4, Mount Vernon 3. Mount Vernon threatening, the game-tying run 90 feet away, the game-leading run 180 feet away. As Will Wentz, the other starting pitcher for the Lake Stevens Vikings, will go up to the mound. And we are now back into the bottom of the second inning. Lake Stevens using their third pitcher of the inning. It is number 34, Will Wentz, entering the game with the team high in wins. He has 5 wins and no losses, with an ERA of 2.52, as he'll face off against the 9th batter of the inning, Dylan Sir. First pitch, a 1-hopper. This one going to Trey. Tosses it home, and he is not able to get Skylar Jensen out, and the game is tied. Skylar Jensen scoring on a wild pitch on the first pitch from Will Wentz. It bounces off the backstop. Trey picks it up barehanded, but is not able to make the throw, and Mount Vernon, with no hits and no errors by Lake Stevens, have scored 4 runs. And now all 4 runs, all 4 batters that got on base on Justin have scored, so there are 4 earned runs against Justin. The 1-0 by Will. Hard hit shot, that's the left. Going back is Wentz, it goes over Will Wentz. 1 run's gonna score. Here comes Fitzgerald, he's riding around third. And Dylan Sir with a 2-run double, and it's a 6-run second inning for Mount Vernon. Ben Pizer, he underestimated how far that ball was going to go, as that one goes all the way to the wall. This is a huge second inning here for Mount Vernon, as they now lead by the score of 6-4. We now go back to Sven Larson, who has walked on 5 pitches to start the second inning. And that was the first hit for the Mount Vernon Bulldogs. 6 runs on only 1 hit. Will on the first pitch. Low, ball 1. Trey Long keeping Dylan Sir at second base. It was a opposite field hit to left field. Ben Pizer looked like he had it for a split second. Then he goes backwards, and we discovered that it goes over his head. The 1-0. Swing and a miss, strike 1. And this is a very similar to what happened back in the first game of the series, of the regular season series between Lake Stevens and Mount Vernon, in which it was a back and forth game, but Mount Vernon ended up winning that game again by the score of 10-8. It was a really well done game, but it was Mount Vernon ended up getting the win. The 1-1 low, ball 2. Dylan Sir with 2 RBIs of his own brings up now to 4 on the year against the Vikings. In his 5th hit, he was, like I said earlier, he was a tough out for Mount Vernon. The count, 2 balls and 1 strike. Will looking over at second, and the windup and the throw. Strike 2 looking, count is even. And so Aleki Bachuan, an inning and a third, no hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, no strikeouts on only 14 pitches. If Lake Stevens ends up winning this game, he is eligible to pitch on Saturday, but Justin Troya, by 8 pitches, is not able to, as he threw 38 pitches. Count is even. Will looking over at Dylan at second, 2-2. Low for a ball 3. Ball gets away, and it'll be another full count for Lake Stevens pitching in this bottom of the second inning. So, yeah, that is something that you don't see every day. 6 runs on 1 hit in 1 inning, and no errors. And this is the 10th batter of the inning. Payoff pitch by Will. Hard hit shot. This one falling in fair territory in right field. And the inning will continue. Dylan Sir scoring from second base. And will be replaced by Sven Larson. The score now 7-4. They'll bring up the 11th batter of the inning, Ryan Morrill. And that will be Will's first earned run of the afternoon. On the second hit of the inning now. And Mount Vernon, this is not new information. Mount Vernon's lineup, they are known for their hitting. First pitch by Will, upstairs, ball 1. And Will, 1 ball, no strikes. The windup in the first pitch. And the 1-0. This one, a gap shot going to center field. Christian going for it. And it gets past the glove of Christian LaPierre. Sven Larson scores from second. It'll be Ryan Morrill who will be going to third, and he'll get there safely. It's an RBI triple by Ryan Morrill, and the inning will continue. This time at the 3-bagger, an RBI triple by Ryan Morrill. The score now 8-4, and Lake Stevens pitching cannot get that third out.
14,
and here is Riley Olmstead, the 12th batter of this second inning. That one, it was a gap shot. Christian was the closest one to it. Tries diving for it, but it just gets past his glove. As again, the inning will continue. This is the 12th batter of this inning. First pitch, strike 1, looking to Riley. Was walked on a full count in an earlier at-bat, earlier this inning. Will 0-1. Wind up in the pitch. Swing and a missed strike 2. The runner at third base now in Ryan Morrill. That's his first hit against the Lake Stevens Vikings this year. Oddly enough, he was also one of the starting pitchers for Mount Vernon, and he has not pitched an inning against the Vikings this year. The 0-2. Swing and a missed strike 3. And it may be hard to believe, but this endless second inning is now over. It is 8 runs on 3 hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on. Mount Vernon, they are not only back in this game after trailing by 4, they now lead by 4 as Riley Olmsted walks back up to the mound as he faces off against Connor Bardou, Trey Long, and Christian LaPierre as the Vikings try to get themselves back into this game. 8-4, Mount Vernon. And we are now back into the top of the third inning. Mount Vernon, a humongous 8-run second inning, responding to a 4-run first inning. Lake Stevens, now their job to keep their season alive is to respond to that 8-run inning. It'll be Connor Bardou with a shot to the right fielder, Dylan Carter. He'll try to get past the right fielder, Dylan Carter, but he makes a running catch towards the wall. The first pitch from Riley Olmsted to Connor Bardou will be a leaping grab by the right fielder, Dylan Carter. He was going backwards there a little bit as he was going towards the warning track, and it'll be the first out of the third inning. Brings up Trey Long, got on base on an error by Ryan Morrill, and was one of the 4 runs that scored in the first. And the windup in the first pitch by Riley. Upstairs, ball 1. Riley, pretty rough second inning. 5 balls, 10 strikes, 15 pitches. Total of 15 balls, 32 strikes, and 47 pitches. And only allowing 1 hit, total of 4 runs, 3 hits, 2 errors, and 1 runner left on. That one looking like it will go out of play. It'll be a 1-1 count. That one falling behind the press box, which is behind home plate. Count now even at 1-1. It's a partly cloudy day here at Everett Memorial Stadium. It is the home of the Everett Aqua Sox, which is the short season affiliate of the Seattle Mariners. 1-1 count by Riley. Ground ball. This one getting in the glove of a sliding Travis Ord. The throw to first is in time. What a play by the shortstop, Travis Ord. My goodness. He is taken over for the spot of Nick Sokol, who graduated last year and now plays for Edmonds Community College. And wow, those are 2 amazing plays by the Mount Vernon defense. It was a sliding play to his right. Travis Ord makes the throw immediately, and it was a 1-hopper to the first baseman, Lane Harlan. First pitch, swing, and a missed strike 1. 2 amazing defensive plays so far by Mount Vernon in the top of the third. And Riley, the 0-1. Low, ball 1. And not only the Everett Memorial Stadium is the home of the Aqua Sox, is also home of the Everett Trojans, the Community College Trojans, home of the NWAC. 1-1. Outside, ball 2. Count now at 2 balls and 1 strike. And the home of the Everett Merchants, who are a summer collegiate baseball team that plays alongside the Trojans over the summer. The 2-1, low, ball 3, a 1-hopper to Finn Wilson. Christian LaPierre is walked on a full count and later scored on a bases-clearing double by Will Wentz. And Riley, the 3-1. Outside, ball 4, Christian. Walk in the first base, a 2-out walk. Second time this afternoon that he has been walked. And it will bring up Will Wentz. And Will, the last time he was up, he hit an 0-1 pitch into the gap in right center field. It scored Theron from third. If I remember correctly, it scored Theron from third. Bryce Mefford from second. And Christian LaPierre from first to give the Vikings an early lead. First pitch, swing and a miss, strike 1. Count, no balls and 1 strike, and mainly for most of the fans here in Everett is known as the home of the Everett Aqua Sox. The 0-1 ground ball, a line drive ball. This hits in the gap in left center field towards the left fielder Dylan Sir, and the Vikings are back in business. Runners on first and second. Will Wentz 2 for 2 on the afternoon as they'll bring up Tanner Lind. Hit a 0-2 pitch down Main Street in center field. It was fielded by Ian Fitzgerald, who later drops the ball. Will would later score from third on that error and makes the score 4-0. And Riley, first pitch, outside ball 1. And the Everett Aqua Sox, they have made their presence here. There are 3 retired numbers for the Everett Aqua Sox. We have number 35 for Spider, who is, if I remember correctly, he is one of the grounds crew for Everett. He helped out for the Everett Aqua Sox for a very long time. Throw to first. It gets off the glove of Lane Harlan, the first baseman. Christian's going to stay at third as that ball will go to the fence right next to the bullpen. Riley Olmsted, he got Will Wentz surrounded, but he'll throw over the glove of the first baseman, Lane Harlan, and the runners will advance. Count is still 1-0, and the Vikings have runners on second and third. And the other two retired numbers, number 26 for Greg Hellman, who used to play for the Aqua Sox and Mariners, who died tragically back in 2011 as he was murdered in his home country of Cuba, and Ken Griffey Jr. Number 24, foul ball, 1 ball, 1 strike, as it was a system-wide effort for the jersey number 24 to be retired by every Mariners minor league team and the Seattle Mariners themselves. So every other Mariners team, the Clinton Lumber Kings, I almost said the Pulaski Mariners, but they changed, and then the Tacoma Rainiers, who are the AAA team, they have all retired number 24. We have a pinch runner for Will Wentz. It'll be number 1, Cameron Austin. The count stays at 1-1. Curveball, outside ball 2. And the last time that Riley Olmsted pitched at Everett Memorial Stadium was back in 2016 in his freshman year. He pitched in the second-place game against the Cascade Bruins. He threw 120 pitches, threw 6 1/3 before he was replaced. 2-1, low, strike 2 looking. Count even at 2-2. Riley Olmsted with a chance to get out of the inning as the count is even. And he got taken out. Mount Vernon had a 4-2 lead. And then after he was taken out, Mount Vernon blows the lead, and Cascade wins the game by the final score of 5-4. And the 2-2 pitch, Olmsted, fly ball. This one leaning towards foul territory, and it'll land in the bullpen. A nice well-hit opposite field hit by Tanner, but it'll land in foul territory right next to the bullpen along the third base side, and the count will stay at 2-2. And there are a lot of this is unlike any other field this year that the Vikings have been to. There's a lot of advertisements from everything from Chick-fil-A to Fred Meyer to Everett CC and Washington State's presence there. And the 2-2, a curveball, outside ball 3. It's a full count to, Klein Honda, to obviously the Mariners, saying that, as it says in the right field fence, that the Mariners and the Aqua Sox have been proud partners since 1995, which is famously the year that kept baseball in Seattle. This one, a ground ball to the second baseman, Sven Larson. Throw to first is in time, and it will end the third inning as Riley Olmsted will get out of the threat. A sliding play in short right field by Larson to end the inning. 0 runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 2 runners left on. Still an 8-4 Mount Vernon lead as Will Wentz will go back to the mound and still face off against Finn Wilson, Skylar Jensen, and Dylan Carter, the 7, 8, 9 hitters, as Mount Vernon still has a 4-run lead. And we are now back, bottom of the third inning. Mount Vernon still leads Lake Stevens 8-4. Will Wentz trying to pitch his first full inning of work in this game as he'll face off against Finn Wilson, the catcher, who lined out to Wentz for the first out in that 8-run second inning. Jacob Gordon warming up for Lake Stevens in the bullpen right now. And Will Wentz, out of that monstrous inning, he threw 13 pitches, 5 balls for 8 strikes. First pitch, a strike 1 looking. And in that inning, total of 8 runs on 3 hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on. That is the total for Mount Vernon in this game through 2. Will, the 0-1 pitch. Check swing, strike 2 looking. No, Wilson didn't check swing it, but it's still called a strike. It'll be Finn Wilson, Skylar Jensen, and Dylan Carter, the 7, 8, and 9 hitters for Mount Vernon. And the 0-2 by Will. Fly ball. That one going into left field. Ben fighting the sun a little bit. Goes for it. Makes the catch. For the first out of the third inning. Brings up Skylar Jensen. Got on base on a full count walk. And was one of the 8 runs that scored. Really, basically, there was only 2 batters out of the 9 batters that didn't score, and that is Finn Wilson and Travis Ord, the leadoff hitter. First pitch, a fly ball. That's out foul. This hits the fence. Barely just gets over the fence. Above the first base side. No balls, 1 strike. And it was the final batter for Justin Troya. And the 1-0 count, low for a ball, 1 in the dirt outside to the catcher Trey Long. So after this game, it'll be the 2018 Wesco Championship game between Cascade and Jackson. 1-1, swing and a miss. Strike 2. Will getting him with that off-speed pitch. It'll be between Jackson, who beat Mount Vernon by the score of 5-4, and Cascade, who beat Lake Stevens by the score of 4-2. Both were on Monday, May 8th. And the 1-2 pitch, low for a ball 2. And 2 balls, 2 strikes wind up in the pitch by Will. Strike 3 called right down the middle. Will getting his first strikeout as he strikes out Skylar Jensen for the second out of the third inning. Brings up Dylan Carter. He was also walked on a full count, and he also scored. And so the winner of the Wesco Championship will play here at Everett Memorial Stadium for the first round of the state playoffs. First pitch, check swing, upstairs, ball 1. And the loser will play in the second place game, which will also be played at Everett Memorial Stadium on Saturday. The 0-1. This will be a shot going in the left field. A 1-hopper to Ben Pizer. It will be a 2-out single for Dylan Carter in his first base hit against the Vikings. And it'll bring us back to the top of the order. And Travis Ord, who is 0 for 2 with a fly ball to center and a fly ball to first base. And so Jackson and Cascade winner will go to state and will play on May 19th here at Everett Memorial Stadium. First pitch inside, ball 1. And the loser will play the winner of this game between Mount Vernon and Lake Stevens in a second place game played on Saturday, May 11th here at Everett Memorial. There'll be a 1-hopper. Trey to throw to second will not be in time as Dylan Carter will steal second. The second baseman, Brendan Miller, fielding that one, and the infield umpire, Jeff Strong, taking a while to make the call. It'll count as a wild pitch, as that ball was in the dirt, giving him the green light in the 1-0. And the 2-0, my mistake, outside ball 3. And Mount Vernon with another run in scoring position. So the winner of this game will play the loser of the Wesco Championship between Jackson and Cascade. And the loser will finish their season. And Will, the windup in the 3-0. Check swing, ball 4. No, that is a strike 1 looking. It was another late call there by Gene Daniels, the home plate umpire. Count is now 3 balls and 1 strike. It was a check swing by Travis. Looks over at Dylan at second base. Will, the windup in the 3-1. Outside and upstairs, ball 4, another walk. It'll be the 7th Lake Stevens walk in 2 2/3 innings. If they lose this game, that is what hurt them. Here's Ian Fitzgerald, who is 0 for 1. First pitch, strike 1 looking. And Will starting off an 0-1 count. Runners on first and second. Dylan second, Travis at first. The 0-1. Curveball upstairs for a ball 1. And Will getting the sign from the junior catcher Trey Long. The 1-1 Will. That'll be a foul ball that'll hit the netting, really towards the press box's direction, behind home plate, right near the on deck circle for Lake Stevens, and the count is now 1-2. With Will a chance to end the inning here. 1-2 by Will. A foul grounder hits the backstop. Ian fighting for the at bat here. And yesterday was a very eventful day for baseball here at Everett Memorial. This one, a shot in the left field. It'll be Dylan Carter running around third. The throw is going to be offline. No, the throw to third. Does he get him in third? No, he doesn't. The throw was fielded by Theron Perkins. He throws to Hunter Velasco at third and will not get him. It'll be an RBI single for Ian Fitzgerald, his first hit. Travis will go to third. Dylan will score. And Mount Vernon now leads with a score of 9-4. Dylan Sear, however you say it, 1 for 2 with a 2-run double in the second inning. It was the first batter for Will Wentz, as he has now gone through the lineup. And Will, the windup first pitch. Hard hit shot. That one's leaning in the foul territory, and it'll not get to it. It'll be Ben Pizer who was the closest to get to it. Count now 0-1. And for the Mount Vernon team next year, there's going to be a few significant guys that are going to be gone from this team. As Dylan Sir and Ian Fitzgerald, they are both 3-year starters. And they have both been a huge help for both of these Mount Vernon teams. Runner goes, Trey. The throw to second base, cut off by the second baseman, Brendan Miller. It'll be a stolen base for Fitzgerald, as Brendan Miller steps right in front of the path of where the ball was heading and looks over at third base to try and keep Travis there. And now Mount Vernon with a chance to get double-digit runs as they have runners on second and third. 1 ball and 1 strike. And Will, the windup, the pitch. Low, a one-hopper. Travis, he was looking to go home, but he looked at where the ball was. Count now at 2 balls, 1 strike. Travis, he was ready to go, and then he stopped in his tracks the second he saw that the ball was still with Trey. 2 balls, 1 strike. And the 2-1, Will. Swing and a miss, strike 2. That one. Pain in the outside corner of the strike zone. And a nice spot for Will. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Will ahead of the count, 2-2. Outside, ball 3, upstairs. And it'll be another full count. And Lake Stevens could use only so many pitchers. As we saw that Justin Troya, for a while, he looked like he could contain Mount Vernon, but it looks like he lost a lot of gas early. Aleki Botchman couldn't do it, and Will Wentz for a while couldn't. Payoff pitch, that is out for a foul as it goes into the bleachers. As the sound of the ball hitting the metal on the bleachers echoes from one side of the field to the other. Count stays as a full count, 3-2. And Will, another full count. Timeout by Dylan Sear. So the second playoff spot will go to the winner of Saturday's second place game between Lake Stevens and Mount Vernon. Between the winner of this game taking on the loser of Cascade and Jackson. The payoff pitch. Low, ball 4. Its bases loaded again. Walk number 8 by the Lake Stevens pitching. It'll bring up the cleanup hitter Sven Larson. 2 at-bats, 2 runs, 1 hit, 1 RBI, and it was an RBI double in the second inning. Both at-bats were in the second inning as well. And Will stepping onto the mound. So right now the loss might go to Alec Ibachuan because he allowed the 2 earned runs. First pitch, ball 1 upstairs. As once again, it's bases loaded for Mount Vernon. Timeout by Lake Stevens. Josh White going to talk to Will and Trey, and then they're going to bring in Jacob Gordon. Yes, they will. New pitcher already for Lake Stevens. Take another quick break. Bottom of the 3rd. Will's going to go back to first base, as Lake Stevens will bring in their 4th pitcher in the game, and it will be number 18, Jacob the Snake Gordon. Mount Vernon 9, Lake Stevens 4. They are threatening as they have the bases loaded once again on a 1-0 count against Sven Larson. And we are now back into the bottom of the 3rd inning. Mount Vernon, they have tacked on another run in this inning with a score of 9-4, bringing up the score to 9-4. They are once again with the bases loaded, with Travis Ord at 3rd, Ian Fitzgerald at 2nd, and Dylan Sear. It's not Sir, it's Dylan Sear at first base, and it'll be Sven Larson, the cleanup hitter. Count is 1-0 as Josh White decides to take out Will Wentz for Jacob Gordon, who is making his 10th appearance for the Vikings. First pitch, strike 1 looking. It'll be a 1-1 count. Will Wentz, a full inning, allowing 5 hits. Currently, 3 earned runs, walking 2 batters, striking out 1 on 41 pitches. And Jacob, the 1-1 outside, and the runners will stay. A nice block by Trey Long, the catcher, to keep the runners at bay. We have a couple of Mount Vernon players warming up. We can only identify one player, and that is Lane Harlan. He pitched against the Vikings in the first game at Lake Stevens High School. He ended up getting the win in that game as well. 2 balls and 1 strike. Gordon, the windup and the throw. Strike 2 looking right down the middle, using the fastball against Larson. And the count even at 1-1. Oh yeah, and I also forgot to mention the final the final sub for Mount Vernon was Kyle Walden. He was also used as a pinch runner. It was him, Cole Williams, and Dane Williams who have been used as pinch runners mainly for Mount Vernon because of their speed. 2-2. Short chopper. This one fielded by Theron. Nice pick, nice throw, and it's off the glove of Will, the first baseman. 1 run's going to score, and another run will score on the error. And Mount Vernon taking an immediate 11-4 lead as they lead by 7 runs.
Now batting number 9.
It was fielded cleanly by Theron Perkins, who throws it to first. There's a 1-hopper by Will. Will drops the ball that scores 1 run. It takes him a while to find the ball as it was rolling around the first base bag. Is just in time to get another one on the board. 2 is now 11-4. And runners on first and second for Ryan Morrill. First pitch, ball 1. And now there's a couple of guys in the bullpen for Lake Stevens. One of them being Cameron Austin, who is looking to make his first varsity appearance on the mound. The 1-0. Fly ball, that's playable. Christian LaPierre going back. LaPierre tracking the ball. And he almost collides with the right fielder, Tanner Lind, as he makes that one. Another huge inning for the Mount Vernon Bulldogs. It is 3 runs on 3 hits, 1 error, and 2 runners left on. 3 more get on the board. It is now 11-4. Mount Vernon over Lake Stevens. Riley Olmstead back on the mound, facing off against Brendan Miller, Hunter Velasco, and Ben Pizer, the 8-9-1 hitters, as Lake Stevens down by 8 runs. They have to, at this point, they'll have to throw the kitchen sink and everything else at Mount Vernon through these next 4 innings at the plate. Down by 8, Mount Vernon up 11-4, trying to keep their season alive. And we are now back to the top of the 4th inning. The 5-seeded Lake Stevens Vikings trail Mount Vernon by the score of 11-4. As Lake Stevens trying to start a massive comeback. They're down by 8, and they'll start with their number 8 hitter, Brendan Miller. First pitch low for a ball 1. Brendan, Riley Olmsted, 8 balls on 10 strikes for 18 pitches total in the third. A total of 23 balls, 42 strikes on 65 pitches, the 1-0. A line shot, gets past a pitcher, Riley Olmsted, and into the hole in center field. And Brendan Miller with a leadoff single to start the top of the fourth. And it'll bring up Hunter Zalasko, the shortstop. He struck out swinging on a 2-2 pitch for the first out of the second inning. And in that third inning, total of no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 2 runners left on. A total of 4 runs on 4 hits, 2 errors, and 3 runners left on. Riley Olmsted. It's been known as a workhorse on the mound. First pitch, strike 1 looking. And Riley against the sophomore Hunter Zalasko. Hunter, one of the many players that will play for next year's team. 0-1 pitch, inside ball 1. As there'll be a few players who will be graduating and will no longer play for the Lake Stevens baseball team. Some of those players include Justin Troya, Will Wentz, Jacob Gordon, and Aleki Bachuan, 4 of the Vikings pitchers. The 1-1, a foul ball, hits the net around the same spot, right next to the on-deck circle for Lake Stevens, right next to Ben Pizer. Pizer, another player that is going to be gone. Connor Bardou, Christian Lapierre. But with a number of players leaving, there's also a good amount that are staying as well for Lake Stevens, which will make next year, the 2019 season, pretty exciting. Throw to first, not in time to try and get Brendan. And a timeout by Hunter, as there will be a bunch of players that will be returning for next year's team. It will be Bailey Corley, Jacob Bordala, Bryce Mefford for a few games. Will be in charge of the pitching core. And the 1-2 pitch low for a ball 2, count is even. Tate Brust probably play on the mound Tate Brust and Hunter Zalesko, a couple of players who will be with the team for a couple more seasons, get better, and show to the rest of Wesco how good they really are. 2-2, low, ball 3, full count. As fate suggests that when you have a number of really good players returning on a high school baseball team, there's a pretty good chance they're going to go far into the postseason. And that's what this team might do next year, and hopefully this team might do this year as well. But before they have any shot at trying to get their first state title, they're going to have to get past this 8-run deficit right here. Count is still full. Riley Olmsted. Timeout by Hunter again. Brendan Miller taking a 2.5 step lead off of first base. Payoff pitch. Low. Strike 3 called. As this one hits the outside part of the strike zone towards the sophomore right-hander. It is the second time that Olmsted has struck out Zalasko. It's the 3rd strikeout this afternoon for Riley. And it'll bring up Ben Pizer, who was 0 for 2 with a ground out to Travis Eward and a fly out to the center fielder Ian Fitzgerald. And Riley Olmsted, first pitch. Fly ball, this one. A pop-up going to short right field. Dylan Carter and the second baseman Sven Larson running for that one. And Larson reaches for that one and will make the catch for the second out of the 4th inning. As Pizer walks back to the dugout going 0 for 3. Here's Theron Perkins, who was 1 for 2 with a single in the second inning, but went 1 for 2 in stolen bases. As he stole second base, but was caught trying to steal third. As it was the first time that the Vikings didn't succeed in trying to steal a bag before the pitcher was able to throw the pitch. First pitch, a foul ball, hits the net right above the backstop. And Riley, no balls, one strike. Riley Olmsted, the windup in the 0-1. Hard hit shot. This one going to left field line. That barely gets foul. A well-hit ball by Theron Perkins, but that just lands on the wrong side of the foul line. Count now 0-2. Count now at 0-2 with Riley Olmsted ahead of the count. Riley peeking over at first towards Brendan. Timeout by Theron. And Theron's going to be one of the top returners coming next season. Theron Perkins, after what we've seen him do, he is easily going to be one of the top players returning, along with Trey Long, Tanner Lynn, Brendan Miller. And the 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike three. Finn Wilson picks up the baseball, throws to first, and he touches the first base bag for the third out after what looked like Lake Stevens struck gold, but barely struck, or at least what I can say is Lake Stevens, they barely almost struck gold there with a near double that instead goes into foul territory. It'll end the top of the fourth inning. It'll be no runs on one hit, no errors, and one runner left on. Mount Vernon 11, Lake Stevens 4. As it go into the bottom of the fourth inning, it'll be a 6, 7, and 8 of Riley Olmsted, Finn Wilson, and Skylar Jensen against Jacob Gordon as he tries to pitch his first full inning of the afternoon. Mount Vernon leads by 7. And we are now back into the bottom of the fourth inning. Mount Vernon trying to increase their 7-run lead. Jacob Gordon on the mound against Riley Olmsted. Olmsted, he is 0 for 1 with a walk and was taken over at first base by Cole Williams, who later scored. Then he struck out swinging his last time up. First pitch, a strike one looking. And Gordon the 0-1. Low, a curveball. The ball gets outside and past the catcher. Trey Long, count is even at 1-1. That'll be the 6, 7, and 8 hitters. Riley Olmsted, Finn Wilson, the catcher, and Skylar Jensen, the designated hitter. That one looks like it's playable. Trey Long's right near the netting, and it is caught by the catcher. Trey Long, what a play! He leans right near the netting. He finds out that he was a little too close to the netting there, and Trey Long reaches back. What a play by the junior catcher to get the first out. Unbelievable. And it'll bring up Finn Wilson. First pitch, upstairs, ball one. Trey Long, definitely one of the top returners coming in the next season. That you're going to see a lot of plays like that. It's just going to be awesome. The 0-1 fly ball, or the 1-0 fly ball stays in the infield. Brendan Miller and Will Wentz calling for it. And it'll be the second baseman, Brendan Miller, will make the catch for the second out. And it'll bring up Skylar Jensen, who is 0 for 1 with a walk and an RBI.
Now batting number 15, Skylar Jensen.
And Jensen struck out looking against Will Wentz for the first out his last time up. First pitch inside, ball one. And Will the 1-0. This one going outside is a curveball just hitting the outside part of the strike zone. Strike one, 1 ball and 1 strike. And the 1-1 pitch inside, ball 2. Jacob Gordon trying to not catch the plague that is currently being suffered by the Lake Stevens pitchers, in which they are not able to find the strike zone. Jacob Gordon looking pretty good so far. 2-1. That's playable. Staying in the infield. Will Wentz right on top of the foul line. Makes a catch. And it's the first 1-2-3 inning for Lake Stevens since the bottom of the first inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on. The first scoreless inning for Mount Vernon since the first. Riley Olmsted walking up to the mound again for the 5th inning, facing off against the middle of the order. Connor Bardou, Trey Long, and Christian LaPierre as Lake Stevens still trails by the score of 11-4. And we are now back, top of the 5th inning. Lake Stevens need to get something very quick here as they go into the top of the 5th. Connor Bardou against Riley Olmsted. Low for a ball 1. Ball bounces away from the catcher, Finn Wilson. Connor Bardou 0 for 2 with a couple of flyouts to the right fielder, Dylan Carter. The first one was a normal flyout. The next one was just pure insanity. It was an athletic play by Dylan Carter as he underestimated how far the ball was going to go, but then went back and reached up just in time to make the catch. Next pitch, ball 2, outside ball 3, a 3-0 count. And Riley Olmsted, 4 balls, 8 strikes, 12 pitches, a total of 27 balls, 50 strikes for 77 pitches, allowing a hit and then runner left on. The 3-0, strike 1 looking. And a total through 4 runs, 5 hits, 2 errors, and 4 runners left on. And the 3-1 by Riley. Fly ball, that is out. Ryan Morrill and Finn Wilson both running for it, but it'll end as a full count as that one almost hits a couple of Mount Vernon spectators right behind the dugout. A scary encounter there, but the good news is that they moved away just in time from where that was going to go. So it's now a full count at 3-2. The windup and the payoff by Riley. Line shot. This one, will it land fair? Yes, it will. It lands right on the foul line. This one going to the bullpen. Connor Bardou staying in second with a stand-up leadoff double. Clear as day. You can see that ball hit right on, dead center, onto the third base line in left field. Connor Bardou with double number 5 on the year, and it'll bring up Trey Long, the catcher. 0 for 1, got on base on an error by Ryan Morrill. Wild pitch moved him to second, and it was later replaced by Bryce Mefford. That was in the first inning, and in the third inning, he hit a 1-1 pitch to the shortstop Travis Oord, who threw him out. It was a nice play by Travis Oord. And the second great play of the latter of a consecutive string of great plays by the Mount Vernon defense. First pitch, a fly ball. That one going into short left field. Travis Oord, the shortstop, calling for it and will make the catch. As this one lands in short left field, Travis Oord calling off Ryan Morrill and Dylan Sear for the first out. Here's Christian LaPierre. He's been walked in both at-bats against Mount Vernon this afternoon. And also, Everett Memorial Stadium, the Vikings, they would have had a shot at winning the Wesco Championship at Everett Memorial Stadium, but instead it actually had to go through some serious renovations. First pitch, strike 1 looking. All of last season, the Aqua Sox, the high school baseball teams that were playing here during the postseason, the Everett Merchants and the Everett Trojans were all affected by this, and it was that the field was replaced by AstroTurf, except for the mound and for the area surrounding home plate. The 0-1, outside ball 1. And it's pretty ominous, pretty weird looking at the field a little differently. 1-1. Strike 2 looking as the catcher Finn Wilson drops the ball. 1 ball and 2 strikes, Riley ahead of the count. And as someone who has seen Everett Memorial Stadium with a natural grass field for a number of years, since at least the Aqua Sox latest Northwest League title back in 2010, it's fairly interesting. And the 1-2, that's a fly ball. This one going in the foul territory. Running for it is Morrill, who was the closest to it and could not make the catch as it bounces into the general admission seating. Along the third base side, count stays at 1 ball and 2 strikes. It was once again Sear, Oord, and Morrill who are all near it. But the infield and the outfield, they both have separate stripe patterns on the AstroTurf, and I think it's a pretty good decision that the district, the Everett School District, has accepted doing, and it took a long time to do construction. The 1-2 outside, ball 2, because now Everett Memorial Stadium can combat the weather that has been that the state, the area, the Pacific Northwest has been having for really the entirety of when this area existed. The 2-2. Hard hit shot. That's a gap shot. This gets past Dylan Sear to left fielder, and Connor routing around third base. He is going to score. Christian LaPierre stays at second, and it will be an RBI stand-up, one-out double for Christian LaPierre. RBI number 14 on the year, and now Mount Vernon leads by 6. Here is Will Wentz, 2 for 2 with a double and a single and 3 RBIs and a run. Timeout by Mount Vernon. It'll be manager Tony Wolden along with Finn Wilson and the entire infield. It will be walking up to the mound. It'll be a timeout by Mount Vernon. Riley Olmstead. Well, a little bit of an accent there trying to say his name. Riley Olmstead sitting at 8, 9, 80, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 90 pitches. Through 4 1/3, Riley Olmstead, he has been known for going deep in the games with very high pitch counts, even before the WIAA decided to implement a pitch count rule where no pitcher can throw more than 115 pitches. And it was because of pitchers like Riley Olmstead, who came onto the scene as a freshman. Again, like I mentioned, in his last start against Cascade, he threw 120 pitches as a 15-year-old freshman. And this was in the Wesco second place game against Cascade. Cascade ended up winning that game after he was taken out. And now Riley Olmstead, he's still throwing over 100 plus, never 120. First pitch, strike one looking. Like if we bring up an example from his last start, he threw 4 1/3, 7 innings. Threw 4 1/3, allowing 7 hits, 7 earned runs, walking 4 and striking out 4 in 96 pitches. 96 pitches in 4 1/3. That's a lot. The 0-1, low, ball 1. So it will be Christian's 5th double of the year and RBI number 14 for the senior center fielder. It'll be Hudson Rhines, who's warming up in the bullpen now. And Riley looking over at second, the 1-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Using the curveball to trick Will on that one. And also, we got to look at the fact as well that Mount Vernon, what would happen if Mount Vernon would move on and would play either Jackson or Cascade? And that is that they have 2 pitchers to go with. They have Hudson Rhines, who is their usual number 3 pitcher, and that one is a bloop fly ball caught by the first baseman Lane Harlan. It's an opposite field pop out to the first baseman Harlan, and it'll be the second out of the 5th inning. Brings up Tanner Lind. He is 1 for 2 with a single, and has a chance to knock in another one for the Vikings. As Hudson Rhines, he is their number 3 pitcher. As there is a chance he might play. It's either him or Lane Harlan who will warm up in the bullpen to play for Riley Olmstead. First pitch, ball. Throw to second is not in time as Christian gets back safely. Ball 1. To start off the at-bat for an 0-1 count. They have Ryan Morrill, who again, he has pitched against the Vikings last year. And he did not do really good in his only start as he was the losing pitcher in a 7-2 loss to the Vikings at Lake Stevens High School. But he is still being used as a pitcher regardless. The 1-0, swing and a miss, strike 1. And Ryan Morrill, if Mount Vernon holds on for the win, he'll probably be the starting pitcher, but it's only if Hudson Rhines pitches in this game. If he pitches more than 30 pitches, then he'll not be eligible for Saturday's game. And Riley, the 1-1, swing and a miss, strike 2. And the count now at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Riley Olmstead ahead of the count against the junior right fielder Tanner Lind. Looks over at second base. The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and that ends the 5th. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on. That'll be strikeout number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Riley Olmstead through 5 innings. Jacob Gordon walking up to the mound It'll now be an 11-5 lead for Mount Vernon against Lake Stevens. Jacob Gordon against the 9-1-2 hitters of Dylan Carter, Travis Ord, and Ian Fitzgerald as they try to increase their lead once again. And we are now back into the bottom of the 5th inning. Lake Stevens again, another run on the board, and they trail by the score of 11-5. Jacob Gordon against the number 8 hitter, Dylan Carter. Skylar Jensen was the last batter. First pitch, a strike one looking. Dylan Carter, 2 runs, a walk, and an RBI. This one, a slow ground ball to the shortstop, Hunter Zalesko. The quick throw to first, does he get him? Yes, he does. A nice throw and a quick reaction by the sophomore shortstop, Hunter Zalesko, for the first out of the 5th inning. And it'll bring up the leadoff hitter, Travis Ord, who is not 1 for 2. He's 0 for 2 with a walk in the 3rd inning and was one of 3 runs that scored in that 3rd inning. And that is another thing for anyone who doesn't know about Mount Vernon. One of the things that they're known for is their fan base. First pitch, strike one looking. Because of both their football team and basketball teams, both boys and girls basketball teams, are not that good. The baseball team is really the school's identity and has been for the last few years. And one of the things that, especially to opposing teams, is the fan base. Some of the parents of some of the players can be very harsh, especially when they're up by 6 and it was a close play to get them out. This one, a slow liner straight to the third baseman, Theron Perkins, for the 2nd out of the 5th, brings up the number 2 hitter, Ian Fitzgerald. 1 for 2, 2 runs, an RBI, and a stolen base in this game so far. And I have heard many stories from multiple different parents from different teams. First pitch, tries bunting for it. This one fielded as Trey Long tries to field it, but instead will let it roll as the home plate umpire, Gene Daniels, will say it's a foul. As a foul ball, it hit the ground. Trey Long, he looked like he was trying to get it, but if he touches the ball, that means it's fair because it fell in fair territory. And so he does not touch it. Count is at 0-1. Count is now at 0-2, no balls and 2 strikes, as Jacob Gordon has a chance for a 1-2-3 inning here in the 5th. And Gordon, the windup and the 0-2 pitch. Fly ball, another foul. As Mount Vernon parents, they're known for going over the line. Again, there are a few occasions, and I've seen this in the last few years, where even if their team is up by a lot, their fans would not only cheer for the opposing team, but would be against and would actually root against a few of the opposing players. It doesn't happen a lot. It's not common, but it has happened. The 0-2 pitch outside, ball 1. And the 1-2. Fly ball, that's the left field. Ben Pizer going back, looking up. And he makes the catch for the 3rd out of the 5th inning. It's a 1-2-3. Bottom of the 5th inning, no runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on. The score, Mount Vernon 11, Lake Stevens 5. They've shortened the deficit, but they need to shorten it even more, especially in these next 2 innings, if they want to get back into this game. And it looks like it'll be Riley Olmstead, as far as we know. No, they're Tony Wolden bringing in a new pitcher. That's Hudson Rhines, number 34. Looks like they might preserve Ryan Morrill for Saturday, as it'll be the top of the 6th inning, as Hudson Rhines will face off against Brandon Miller, Hunter Zalesko, and Ben Pizer to try and close out this game for Mount Vernon and keep their season alive. And we are now back into the top of the 6th inning. Lake Stevens will be facing off against a new pitcher for the Mount Vernon Bulldogs, and as number 34, Hudson Rhines, who will be pitching in relief. This one, a chopper to the second baseman, Sven Larson, who throws to the first baseman, Riley Olmstead, for the 1st out of the 6th inning. Riley Olmstead playing for Lane Harlan.
Coming play number 22, Hunter Zalesko
at first base. And Rhines making his 2nd appearance against the Vikings in his 2nd game this year. First pitch to Hunter Zalesko, tries bunting for it. This one rolls along it will roll along the 3rd base line. It will go into foul territory. And the count will start at 0-1. Hudson Rhines, in his last start against Lake Stevens, in his last appearance, he threw 7 innings, allowing 3 hits, 1 earned run, walking 2 batters, and striking out 5. He no-hit the Vikings through 4 2/3, but he would end up be the losing pitcher in a 1-0 loss to the Vikings. Next pitch, a ball 1 upstairs. Hunter Zelasco, a couple of hard-fought at-bats, but unfortunately it ends in strikeouts. And the 1-1 pitch outside, ball 2. Goes outside, 2 balls and 1 strike. Riley Olmstead on line for the victory. 5 innings, 7 hits, 5 runs, 1 earned. This one, a ground ball, gets past the glove of the second baseman, Sven Larson. And Hunter Zelasco will get his first base hit of the afternoon. A 1-out single as the Vikings get a base runner on as we go back to the top of the order for the 4th time around to Ben Pizer. Pizer, he is 0 for 3 with a ground out and a couple of flyouts. 1 to the center fielder and 1 to the second baseman. And as the game went on, you had the Jackson Timberwolves arrive at the stadium at around the 3rd inning. First pitch upstairs, ball 1. And the Cascade Bruins, they arrived just shortly around between the 5th inning, or in the middle of the 5th inning. The 0-1 Hudson. Line shot into center field, past the glove of a leaping Travis Ord. And the Vikings have runners on first and second with 1 out. And Ben Pizer with a base hit of his own, his first of the afternoon, and there's runners on first and second. For Theron Perkins, he is 1 for 3 with a stolen base and a run. He struck out in the first inning, but was able to get on base as the ball got away from Finn Wilson. And was one of 4 runs that scored in the first. It will be a single in the second inning. He stole second, tried to steal third, couldn't do it, and struck out in the 4th inning to end the 4th. First pitch, out strike 1 looking. And Hudson looks over at second, the 0-1. Swing and a missed strike 2. As Lane Harlan, who is the first baseman for Mount Vernon, he is once again warming up in the bullpen and might be the pitcher that will replace Hudson Rhines in today's game if Lake Stevens can get to him. The 0-2 outside, ball 1. And Hudson getting the sign from Finn. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The pitch. Line shot. This gets into the hole in right. Hunter will stay at third base. It is now bases loaded. And a nice throw by the right fielder Dylan Carter to the catcher Finn Wilson to keep the bases loaded. So once again, the bases are loaded. The first time since the first inning. And the Vikings, although it is short, they do have a pretty good history with the bases loaded in this game, as Will Wentz hit a bases-clearing double in the first inning. Here's Connor Bardew. He is 0 for 2 with a run. First pitch upstairs, ball 1. And Hudson, the 1-0. Large shot, this one into the gap in right center field. It'll get off the wall. Hunter is going to score. Ben is going to score. Theron Perkins staying at third, and it'll be a 2-run double for Connor Bardew. His second double in his last 2 at-bats, and Mount Vernon leads by the score of 11-7. This one hit into the gap in right center field. Hudson Rhines stepping on the mound. And a timeout by Mount Vernon. Are they going to take him out already? And it looks like they will. They're going to take him out. And they're going to bring in number 17, Lane Harlan. And we're going to take a quick break here, top of the 6th inning. Score now, Mount Vernon 11, Lake Stevens 7. Runners on second and third for Trey Long, as Lane Harlan will once again go on the mound to face the Vikings. And we are now back into the top of the 6th inning. Mount Vernon bringing in their third pitcher of the game. It'll be number 17, Lane Harlan, who is the third pitcher. So Mount Vernon had 3 pitchers in the regular season face off against Lake Stevens, and they have now had all 3 on the mound. Trey Long will be the first batter. He is 0 for 2 with an error and not a run. He was taken over by Bryce Mefford at second after he got to second base on a wild pitch. Runner on second and third. Theron at third base. Connor at second. First pitch, a chopper. This one going to Ord. Gets into the glove of Ord. Throw to first is in time. A nice... No, we were saying he stepped off the bag. Riley Olmstead stepped off the bag, and Lake Stevens has life. My goodness, that is interesting. That is an interesting call right there. Xander Fogel will be pinch running for Connor Bardou, a timeout by Lake Stevens. It was a nice play by Travis Ord. It was a one-hopper to Riley Olmstead. The problem was that Riley Olmstead got his foot off the bag way too early. And so now Bryce will pinch run for Trey. And it will be number 21, Christian LaPierre, hit an RBI double in the last inning. And he now represents the game-tying run. And what should have been the second out now turns into 1 out with the bases loaded. LaPierre, we know he can rake. Let's see if he can do it here. First pitch, outside, ball 1. One ball and no strikes. Theron at third, Xander at second, Bryce at first, the 1-0. Fly ball, this one going to right. Dylan Carter going back for it. Theron is getting ready, and he'll stay at the third base bag. And a nice throw by Dylan Carter to keep him at third. And here is Will Wentz, who is 2 for 3.
Batting number 34, Will Wentz.
Will Wentz, he is 2 for 3 with a bases clearing double and a single in the third, but he also popped out on an opposite field pop out to the first baseman Lane Harlan. So Harlan, in his last appearance against the Vikings, was in the first game against Lake Stevens High School. 2 2/3, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and no strikeouts. But he was able to get the win, though, as the Vikings lost by the score of 10-8. And the Bulldogs scored 6 runs in the top of the 6th inning as they were trailing 8-4 and won 10-8. 1-0 by Lane. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Will now represents the game-tying run. Will, he has been in this situation before. Bases loaded, this time with 2 outs. Oh, no, last time it was 2 outs as well. This one, a shot, that's foul. This one, landing right next to the press box. We have the Mount Vernon radio station, who is covering the game for Mount Vernon Baseball, also broadcasting this game. They were right next to me and also broadcasting this game, which makes this experience pretty well. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention I'm also in the press box for this. 1-2, Lane. Fly ball, that's playable. This one going to the infield. You have like a good 3 runners running for it, and it'll be a sliding play by the second baseman, Sven Larson. And he will make the play for the 3rd out. Vikings get a couple runs on the board, but Lake Stevens, they leave 3 runners on base. That's the huge part. 2 runs on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. No errors and 3 runners left on. They get a couple runs, and they trail by 4. Jacob Gordon back on the mound in the bottom of the 6th as he'll face off against Dylan Sear, Sven Larson, and Ryan Morrill to try and keep this a 4-run ball game.
Dylan Sear.
And we are now back into the bottom of the 6th inning. Mount Vernon leading Lake Stevens now by the score of 11-7. As Jacob Gordon will walk back up to the mound, it'll be Dylan Sear, who is 1 for 2 with a 2-run double in the 8-run second inning that propelled this 11-7 lead. And the first pitch will be a chopper to the first baseman Will Wentz, who will touch the bag for the first out of the 6th. Brings up Sven Larson already. Hit an RBI double in the second inning. He got on base on all 3 at-bats. He was walked in the second inning, hit an RBI double later in that inning, and then got on base on an error by Theron Perkins. And Jacob, the snake, first pitch. Outside ball 1. Jacob, pretty good fifth inning. 1 ball, 8 strikes for 9 pitches. A total of 7 balls, 25 strikes, 32 pitches. And all zeros, a total of 11 runs on 5 hits, 1 error, and 3 runners left on for Mount Vernon. Timeout by Larson. And the 1-0 by Jacob. Fly ball, that's playable. This one's staying in the infield right near the mound. Theron Perkins calling for it, and he cannot make the catch. It stays at first, and there's no one at second, as it'll be an infield bloop single. Theron tried to catch it. Now they're going to say it's an error, and Mount Vernon has a runner on second base.
There's no error.
Theron calling for it. Theron, he was calling for that. So it's tough to call it. Yeah, they're going to call it just the smallest double I've ever seen. And it will be another double for Sven Larson. The Bulldogs have a runner on second. Here is Ryan Morrill, who is 1 for 2 with an RBI triple in the second inning. First pitch by Jacob. Ball 1 upstairs. So it's the... If I can find the right spot. Yeah, that is the first base hit that is allowed by Jacob Gordon. They're going to say it's an error, but it's actually a base hit. And the 1-0, strike 1 looking. As both Jackson is right now warming up. Right near the stadium. Cascade's still sitting there. Throw to second. Did he get him? No, he did not. A nice pickoff attempt there as Jacob throws to Hunter at second base. But Sven Larson able to get there, and the count stays at 1 ball and 1 strike. And the pitch, ball 2. So it'll be Lane Harlan, who will be on the mound for Mount Vernon to try and close things out. And it will be Tanner Lynn, Brendan Miller, and Hunter Zalesko. Been getting that wrong all year, trying to keep the Viking season alive. The 1-2. Chopper. This one fielded, gets by the glove of both Theron and Hunter. The throw home, not in time. It'll be an RBI single for Ryan Morrill. And the score is now 12-7 as the Vikings lead by 5.
Now batting number 14.
And that will be earned towards Jacob Gordon. Here is Riley Olmstead. He is 0 for 2 with a walk and a run. And Jacob Gordon looking over at first base towards Ryan Morrill. Throw to first, not in time. And Jacob, the first pitch, swing and a miss, strike 1. Riley Olmstead starting back in the 6th inning. He moved over to first base, which is his primary position in the infield when he's not pitching. The 0-1 tries a slow curveball, ball 1. Count even at 1-1. Or my mistake. Now the count is 2-1. The 2-1 pitch inside. Ball 3. And Jacob Gordon behind for a 3-1 count. There's a couple of things regarding Mount Vernon. The first one is that every time Lake Stevens would make a mistake in this game, they would always take advantage of it. The 3-1 pitch, a strike 2 looking up to a full count. It's now to a full count through Gordon against Riley Olmstead. Gordon looking over at first towards Ryan Morrill. And the payoff pitch, throw to first, is not in time to try and get Ryan. It is that Mount Vernon will take advantage of any mistakes Lake Stevens would make. And that Mount Vernon somehow, Mount Vernon, they would somehow recover from any mistakes they had. And the payoff pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. Jacob Gordon gets Riley Olmstead swinging
Wilson.
for his first strikeout of the afternoon. The third by Lake Stevens pitching, and here is Finn Wilson, who is 0 for 3. He is the only Mount Vernon batter at this point that has not gone on base. Throw to first, not on time to get Ryan. Lake Stevens, they have done something like this before against Mount Vernon back in 2015, if I remember correctly. Game at Lake Stevens High School. Mount Vernon took an immediate 8-2 lead, and they came back. They tied the game at 10, but they lost 11-10. First pitch, a fly ball to the second baseman, Brendan Miller, and that will end the sixth inning. 1 run on 2 hits, no errors. It says the scoreboard says there's 1 error, but there is no errors. And 1 runner left on. The score is now 12-7. Mount Vernon over Lake Stevens. Lane Harlan will go back onto the mound for the Bulldogs as he'll face off against the bottom 3 batters, Tanner Lynn, Brendan Miller, and Hunter Zalesko. As Lake Stevens trying to keep their season alive, they are down by 5 runs. They need 5 to tie it and 6 to take the lead. It is a do-or-die situation here for Lake Stevens if they want to get a shot to keep their season alive and play on Saturday. Top of the 7th inning, Mount Vernon 12, Lake Stevens 7. And we are now back, bottom of the 7th inning. Lake Stevens trailing Mount Vernon 12-7. Tanner Lynn starting things off in the top of the 7th. Mount Vernon, they need 3 outs to keep their season alive and play in the second place game this Saturday and end Lake Stevens' season. Well, the Vikings, they need to score 5 runs to tie, 6 to take the lead. First pitch, curveball, strike 1 looking. A nasty first pitch to Tanner Lynn. As he enters this at bat, 1 for 3 with a single in the first inning. And the 0-1, a chopper. This one fielded by Larson, gets into the glove. The throw to first is in time, and he just gets Tanner by half a step for the first out of the 7th. And here is the number 8 hitter, Brendan Miller. Possibly his final at-bat as a Lake Stevens Viking. 1 for 3 with a single in the 4th. He's going to try and make the most of it. And Lane Harlan, the windup. First pitch, low inside, ball 1. And Lane Harlan, after taking over for Hudson Ryans, he threw 2 balls for 5 strikes and 7 pitches. In that inning, 2 runs on 5 hits, no errors, and 3 runners left on. The 1-0 curveball. This time moves it just outside of the strike zone for a strike 1. It was the same pitch. It was just in a different spot. The total is 7 runs on 12 hits. 2 errors and 8 runners left on for Lake Stevens. The 1-1 pitch, a 1-hopper to the catcher Finn Wilson. 2 balls, 1 strike. And the windup in the 2-1 by Lane. Inside, ball 3. Lane, he got the win in his last time against the Vikings. Now he's going to try and get the save here. And the 3-1 by Lane. Strike 2 looking, full count. And the payoff pitch by Lane Harlan, foul chopper, that one. A rocket straight to the third base dugout, which is the Mount Vernon dugout. Still payoff pitch, 3-2, Lane. Ground ball straight to Ryan Morrill, off the glove, and gets away from the third baseman, Ryan Morrill. It's error number 5 for the Mount Vernon Bulldogs. It's the second one towards Ryan Morrill. And it'll bring up Hunter Zalesko. He got a base hit in his last time up in the 6th inning. And scored on a 2-run double by Connor Bardou. First pitch by Lane. Low, a 1-hopper to Finn. Ball 1. There's no one warming up in the bullpen for Mount Vernon, so Tony Wolden is putting all of his chips on the table towards Lane Harlan. The 1-0 inside, strike 1 looking. Mount Vernon bringing in with the motivation of if Lane Harlan can't do it, no one will. The 1-1, strike 2 looking. Lane ahead of the count, 1-2. And Lane, wind up in the 1-2. Fly ball, that's a foul ball, and that will land right above the press box. right above us in the press box. Count stays at 1 ball and 2 strikes as Hunter tries to stay alive. And the 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3 for the second out. And it'll be the second out of the top of the 7th inning. Ben Pizer walking up to the plate in what possibly could be his final at-bat. He's only a few days into his 18th birthday, and there's a chance that it'll be his final varsity at-bat for the Lake Stevens Vikings. There's a runner on first base. He is 1 for 4 with a single in the 6th, and was the second runner that scored on a 2-run double by Connor. First pitch outside, ball 1. It'll be the first strikeout of the afternoon for Lane Harlan. And Lane Harlan, the 1-0. A line shot. This one getting over the head of the shortstop, Travis Ord. And Ben Pizer, not going down without a fight, gets a single, and there's runners on first and second for Theron Perkins. Theron Perkins, 2 for 4 with 2 singles. Struck out twice and scored a run. As Lake Stevens tries to keep their season alive, at least for one more at-bat. And Lane, first pitch. Strike 1 looking as he gets Theron with the curveball on that one. And the 0-1. Fly ball, that's a foul, and that one will go over the press box again. Count now 0-2. Theron getting a piece of it. And one more strike, and Mount Vernon will move on to the second place game. And Lake Stevens will finish their season at 9-14. And the 0-2 by Lane. Inside, ball 1. Good eye by Theron. Every pitch counts here. As the Vikings, they need to pick their pitches. 1-2, low, ball 2 in the dirt. The count now 2 balls and 2 strikes. And the 2-2. Ground ball, that barely gets foul as it goes past the third base line. And the count will stay 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Theron Perkins, towards the late in the year, he has done a really good job with the bat, especially as he's gotten pretty good, especially with guys on base with a couple of doubles. Again, he leads the team with 6 triples. I wouldn't be surprised if he leads Wesco with 6 triples on the year. The 2-2, fly ball, another foul. Theron fighting for it. And which also includes a home run that he hit against Glacier Peak. The count 2-2, another foul ball. Theron Perkins trying his absolute best here to keep the Viking season alive for the sake of his teammates who want to keep playing for the rest of this season and want to extend their season before they graduate next month. 2 balls and 2 strikes, Lane. Hard hit shot, that's another foul. Now 7 pitches in the at-bat, Theron Perkins. Not going down without a fight. And that's really what the moral of this season has been for Lake Stevens. The fact that they would keep going down, but they would always come back up. And this is what this at-bat has been. They would always keep fighting until they would get their way. The 2-2, a hard hit shot going into right field. Back goes Dylan Sear, who will make the catch. And Mount Vernon will win this game. He'll catches it at the warning track. Mount Vernon will win this game by the final score of 12-7. And the Lake Stevens Vikings will end the 2018 varsity baseball season after 23 games. Highlighted by an 8-run second inning, Mount Vernon will win by a final score of 12-7. The winning pitcher For the Mount Vernon Bulldogs is Riley Olmstead getting his 4th win of the year. The losing pitcher will be Alec Ibachuan, who is 0-1 and will unfortunately finish his varsity career with the loss. Lake Stevens will be finishing their year with the record of 9 wins and 14 losses. And looks like we've gone to that point. Lake Stevens, they're going to be graduating a lot of players, and I think the special message that I got to say to all the players leaving is, whatever you do in life, good luck. Good luck. Whatever you do in life. I think I'm going to try my best not to stutter here, because I've done that all freaking day, and I'm not going to do it here. For people who have been part of the team for maximum 3 years, because there's very few guys that were on the team as a freshman, such as Connor Bardew or Will Wentz in some cases. I seriously hope that whatever comes for you, I seriously wish you the best. For Connor, for Will, for Ben, Christian, everyone, every senior. This is a message for every senior. Whatever you do, go towards it with everything you have. Go towards it with every single breath, every single everything. I can't think of anything else right now. This team, mainly it's because I've went to school with some of these guys, and so I feel a lot of things for these guys. This team is very special. The team in the past couple of years have been special to me as more of an escape from life. And I am very happy that for the last 7 years I got to broadcast for this team. But speaking of that, I have some good news and I have some bad news in relation to that. The good news is that I will be back broadcasting for the 2019 varsity baseball season. The bad news is that will be my final season broadcasting for this team, as I will find a college or a university or even a best case scenario, a minor league team to broadcast for. And during that time between now and next season, I'll also be experimenting with other interests and other things. And I think the final thing I got to say is, for everyone who's been listening, the players who have been playing through this, thank you for listening to this. To the parents of the players who are playing in these games, thank you for listening to this. For anyone at the high school who knows some of the players who play for the baseball team, thank you. You are one of the main reasons why I'm still broadcasting. You are one of the main reasons why I came out here, ego aside, and do this. And so, my example, I want this to be an example to everyone who wants to do something in life, but is scared of doing it because they are afraid of what people will think. Screw them. Just do it. Nothing's gonna hurt. Because I know that no one's making fun of me. No one's made me nervous broadcasting in years. And this was a legit test sitting in a press box. But I think really all I'm going to say is that thank you for listening to the 2018 varsity baseball season. There will be another season. And from Everett Memorial Stadium, my name is Payne Patchett, saying, see you next March.